Hello, and welcome to our webinar, Graphic Novels for Adults and Young Adults. I'm Susan Maguire, Senior Editor, Collection Management and Library Outreach at Booklist. Before we begin, I'd like to go over some technical details. Links to today's slide presentation and title list were included in the reminder email you received from Zoom 1 hour ago. To download them, please open that email, scroll to the bottom, and click on the links located there. You can also download the slides and title list by copying the URLs on this screen into your web browser. If you have any trouble accessing these materials, please contact us at webinars@booklistonline.com. The audience is in listen-only mode, but we welcome any questions you may have. On the bottom of your screen is a toolbar with a button for Q&A. If you have a question or need technical assistance, simply click Q&A and type your message into the box that appears. We will do our best to respond to all tech-related questions, and we'll pass along all other questions to today's panelists so they can follow up with you after the webinar. Finally, Booklist offers closed captioning on all webinars. To enable or disable captions on your screen, please look for and click the live transcript icon on the toolbar mentioned earlier. From there, you can select Show or Hide Subtitles from the menu that appears. If you choose to enable subtitles, you can adjust the size of the captions at any time by selecting Subtitle Settings. Today, we have the pleasure of hearing from Jennifer Chan, Executive Director of Sales and Marketing at Fantagraphics Books, Morgana Santilli, Sales and Marketing Coordinator at Yen Press, Chloe Ramos, Book Market and Library Sales Manager at Image Comics, and Ashley Kronsberg, Marketing Manager for Diamond Book Distributors. First, we'll hear from Jennifer Chan. Following her passion as a consummate reader and lover of art, graphic design, and books, Jennifer began her career working in bookstores soon after graduating college. She moved into the publishing world in 2001, working in trade sales for W.W. Norton, PRH Client Services, and for a number of independent art publishers. She is currently the Executive Director of Sales and Marketing at Fantagraphics Books. Take it away, Jennifer.
Thanks, Susan. Hi, everyone. Thanks very much for tuning in. Today, I'll be presenting highlights from our Summer 23 list, which I've divided into 3 sections: adult fiction, adult nonfiction, and comics for younger readers. If we can show the first slide. Please note that age ranges are included on each title slide, along with on-sale dates in red. Our first title in the adult fiction category is Listen, Beautiful Marcia, a gripping story about a family pushed to the brink. This English language debut was the Fave d'Or winner at last year's Angoulême Comics Festival. Next slide. Marcia is a nurse in a hospital near Rio who lives in a favela with her boyfriend, Aloiso, and her daughter, Jacqueline, whom she had very young with another man. Next slide. Jacqueline, a troubled young adult, makes life difficult for her mother and Aloiso, and rebelliously hangs out with members of a neighborhood gang, leading to violent altercations between mother and daughter. Next slide. The situation degenerates even more when Jacqueline is arrested. Marcia and Aloiso, distraught, realize that she is in deeper trouble than they ever thought. Listen, Beautiful Marcia is a fast-paced, flamboyantly colorful new graphic novel by one of the most important Brazilian cartoonists working today. Next slide. Marcelo Quintanilha's first English language book is a tour de force, a tightly wound drama filled with masterful suspense and a deep love for family and character. Next slide. In the tradition of the once ubiquitous British hardback annuals comes the Werewolf Jones and Sons Deluxe Summer Fun Annual, 100 fun-filled seasonal pages of spoofs and goofs for the whole family to enjoy. No minors allowed. Next slide. Werewolf Jones, drugged up to his eyeballs, believes he is the world's greatest father, which is the most far from the truth delusional thought ever thought by any thinker. Parents can learn a lot about what not to do as a guardian by observing as he deals with bullying, his own inebriation and sex addiction, his children's blossoming sexuality, running out of alcohol in a recession, and coping with the kids. Next slide. Featuring fun appearances by beloved friends of the family, such as Meg, Mog, and Owl, not to mention Dracula Jr. and Tim the drug-dealing spider. This book will surely leave you confused, angry, upset, heavily triggered, and wishing you could call Child Protective Services on a fictional werewolf. Next slide. Put together with lots of love by Simon Hanselman and rising underground star Josh Pettiger, get ready for one of the hottest summers on record, and not merely due to rising climate-based abnormalities. Next slide. In August, we have Eden 2 by Kay Rawton. In a grungy, punk-inflected world, a cast of disaffected young characters struggle to find their purpose in life. Faced with a dying Earth and numbingly useless jobs, protagonists Ellis and Dr. Otis Heck invent an immersive virtual reality game, Eden 2. Next slide. But when Heck betrays Ellis and sells the game to a mysterious corporation, the lines between fantasy and reality begin to blur. As each chapter highlights a new character in the ensemble, the game's impact grows as the world becomes consumed by fantasy. Next slide. Coming off the heels of their acclaimed queer comics Cannonball, Eden 2 is Kay Rawton's magnum opus, establishing them as a breakout graphic novelist. Next slide. Philosophical, sarcastic, self-assured, Eden 2 is a vital work of the moment that positions Rawton alongside recent comics luminaries like Emily Carroll, Caroline Cash, Isabel Greenberg, and Tilly Walden. Next slide. Reminiscent of the stylized angst of Greg Araki and Jamie Babbitt, Rawton's imagery in Eden 2 reflects the blighted pastiche of Andrei Tarkovsky's Stalker and has suffused it with a dark sense of humor and technologically enhanced moral ambiguity. Next slide, please. Up next, we have adult nonfiction. This heartbreaking manga by Susumu Higa examines the history of Okinawa and its military occupation and is presented in English for the first time. Next slide. A peaceful independent kingdom until its annexation by the Japanese Empire in the 19th century, Okinawa was the site of the most destructive land battle of the Pacific War. Today, the archipelago is Japan's poorest prefecture, an unwilling host to 75% of all US military bases in Japan. Okinawa brings together two collections of intertwined stories by the island's preeminent mangaka, which reflect on this difficult history and pull together traditional spirituality, the modern-day realities of the continuing US military occupation, and the senselessness of the war. Next slide, please. The first collection, Sword of Sand, is a ground-level, unflinching look at the horrors of the Battle of Okinawa. In the second collection, titled Mabui, which is Okinawan for spirit, Higa turns an observant eye to the present day, where he explores how the American occupation has irreversibly changed the island, and it is told through the lens of the island's indigenous spirituality, through the central character of the Yuta priestess. Next slide, please. Though the work is thoroughly about one specific locale, the complex relations between Okinawan and Japanese identities and loyalties, between place and history, and between humanity and violence, speak beyond borders and across shores. Next slide. This manga classic is a harrowing document of war, but it is also a work which addresses the dreams and the needs of the people as they go forward into an uncertain future. It is essential reading for anyone interested in World War II and its effects on our lives today, as well as anyone with an interest in the people and culture of this fascinating and complicated place. Next slide. Anais Nin, the author of works such as Delta of Venus and House of Incest, is the patron saint of taboo-breaking pop culture sexual iconoclasts. Not only is she an inspiration for contemporary figures, but her work, which encompasses erotica, autobiography, essays, short fiction, novels, and much more, has been adapted into film, television, and other media. Next slide, please. The cartoonist Leonie Bischoff traces the life of the prolific writer in this lushly illustrated graphic novel. Next slide. It begins with Nin struggling to reconcile the man she married with the banker she finds herself living with in the Parisian suburbs. Soon she meets June Miller, and her obsession with her leads to inspiration. Next slide. Nin's life and art, the truth and fiction, are further intertwined as she recounts her many sexual liaisons, including those with Henry Miller, her psychoanalyst, and even her father. Next slide. Although Bischoff's drawing is largely representational, she depicts Nin's sexual experiences in scenes as lush and surreal as Nin's own written portrayal of them. Next slide. This graphic memoir by Natalie Norris is a bittersweet coming-of-age story that chronicles the author's teenage experiences with sexual assault, PTSD, and resiliency. Next slide. Dear Minnie is not a cautionary tale. Rather, it is a vivid depiction of adolescent agency in the face of trauma, tracing Norris's journey from wayward wild child to resilient adult who has harnessed her voice after almost a decade of silence. Next slide. Told in the form of an illustrated letter to an old friend, Dear Minnie recounts the author's experience going abroad to attend a language immersion program in France after her sophomore year of high school. She meets Minnie, an Austrian student who shares her predilection for illicit adventure, and the two quickly form a bond that they expect to last well after they go their separate ways. Next slide. But when Natalie visits Minnie 10 months after their last face-to-face, something has changed, and their nocturnal exploits veer head-on into disaster. Next slide. Norris's spirited and free-flowing page designs and full-color cartooning bring her frank voice and personality to life, making Dear Minnie one of the most compelling graphic memoir debuts of 2023. Next slide. At 40, Spanish cartoonist Paco Roca has finally achieved his childhood dream, to spend all day at home in his pajamas. However, his blissful loungewear-clad reverie is beset with a host of mundane problems. Next slide. He dreads small talk with the world's biggest bore, but his excuses and white lies are finally catching up with him. When good friends break up, taking either side could lead to social disaster. Next slide. The simple mission to change his train ticket descends into an impossibly complicated Kafkaesque affair. And worst of all, his partner keeps hanging the toilet paper roll the wrong way. Next slide. Like most of us, Roca's alter ego just wants to be liked and do the right thing, but finds that through crippling indecision, cowardly behavior, and the absurd machinations of the universe, he is usually thwarted. The ensuing situations he finds himself embroiled in are as hilarious as they are often painfully relatable. In the vein of sitcoms like Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm, Roca's comic vignettes brilliantly satirize the pesky pitfalls of modern-day life. Next slide. Our last three titles are books for younger readers. Up first is our latest volume in the complete Carl Barks Disney library. You can't depend on anything in Persia being what it seems, warns Uncle Scrooge. But when he, Donald, and the nephews are approached by a wayward archaeologist bearing fragile clay tablets that point the way to Ali Baba's lost cave, the hunt is on for the most fabulous treasure of the ancient world. And Scrooge will soon discover how true his words really are. Next slide. Also included in this volume, the oddball inventions of the ever-eccentric Gyro Gearloose, and Scrooge shields his famous money bin in an indestructible glass that defies the efforts of Magica Dispel and the Beagle Boys. What could possibly go wrong? Plus, a rare story started by Barks and completed by internationally acclaimed duck artist Don Jeeps, never before published in the US, The Pied Piper of Duckburg. Next slide. Barks delivers another wildly imaginative collection of outrageous adventures, laugh-out-loud comedy, and all-around comic book genius. Next slide. From Disney Adventures and its sister magazines come classic comics based on your favorite 1990s Saturday morning cartoon block. Next slide. See sideways school kids Doug and Pepper Ann navigate the halls of tween angst, while sneaky Spinelli of recess is always up to tricks. Join Buzz Lightyear of Star Command and Mira Nova for big space battles. Next slide. Then return to the 100-Acre Wood for the new adventures of Winnie the Pooh, and hit Mouseton with Mickey, Goofy, and Mortimer in Mickey Mouse Sparks. Even the Emmy Award-winning Teacher's Pet is back in comics, back in print for the first time in decades. Next slide. Pour a bowl of cereal and dig into a nostalgic comics tribute to Disney's One Saturday Morning. Next slide. In the English language debut of Spanish cartoonist and illustrator Naraya Tamarit, Daughters of Snow and Cinders conjures the awesome natural beauty of the frozen north in vibrant color. Next slide. Fleeing the fires of her war-torn homeland, a young woman travels to the New World in search of gold to rebuild her life. Next slide. In this strange, lawless land, she encounters friends, foes, and an unexpected traveling companion who may just be her good luck charm. And amidst the icy reaches of the wilderness, a fearsome, fantastical beast lurks in the shadows. Next slide. A rugged adventure story with two strong young women at its heart, this graphic novel includes sensitive portrayals of Native characters and deals with themes of feminism and human impact on the environment in a naturalistic, non-didactic way. Next slide. The story feels very gritty and grounded, but includes a few touches of fantastical elements that make it a unique and engaging narrative. Next slide. And that's it for me. Thanks again to all who registered and for tuning in. All the titles in my presentation are available on Edelweiss, where you can download digital galleys. Please feel free to contact me if you want to join our catalog mail list or with any review copy requests or questions you may have. I also send out newsletters for both our adult and our children's titles, so please get in touch if you'd like to sign up. And be sure to check us out and follow us on social media as well. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. We'll now hear from Morgana Santilli. Morgana is the sales and marketing coordinator at Yen Press. She is a former comic shop manager and buyer and always particularly loved helping readers find their new favorite series. Other than reading manga, Morgana enjoys drinking lots of tea, snuggling with her two black cats, and collecting too many books for her toddler's personal library. Thanks for being here today, Morgana.
Thanks so much, Susan, and thank you everybody for being here. I'm so excited to tell you a little bit about the new and upcoming books we have for adults and young adults. Next slide, please. So first up, we have Oshinoko. This book actually came out a couple weeks ago, volume 1, and it's a really interesting manga. It's about a doctor, Goro, who is a huge fan of pop idols, a specific pop idol group. And his favorite star announces a hiatus, and it turns out that she is pregnant and he becomes her doctor. But he is mysteriously killed and reincarnated as one of her children. So a wacky premise to begin with, but even though this seems like a typical reborn in another body kind of story, it actually is a really kind of deep and dark look at the cutthroat Japanese entertainment industry. Oshinoko was previously available on the Manga Plus app in English, so a lot of readers are very familiar with it. And there is an anime slated to come out in April of 2023. So we definitely think that this is going to get really big, and readers are going to be scrambling for it. So once again, this just came out a couple weeks ago. It is appropriate for ages 16 and up. Next slide, please. Assorted Entanglements is a series of short stories that center around Yuri or girls' love romances, so essentially lesbian romances. We have done Yuri anthologies in the past. We have the Eclair series, which did very well for us. The difference with Assorted Entanglements is that these stories focus on more mature relationships, and I don't necessarily mean sexually explicit, but relationships between adult women, which is a bit of a rarity. A lot of Yuri and girls' love stories available in English do focus on teen romances. So this is kind of a nice addition to the LGBTQ content available. And then once again, the stories in all of these are different. In the first volume, we have an office worker who goes out and has a one-night stand and wakes up with one of the workers from the bar and kind of has to navigate things from there. This is available in a couple weeks on February 21st and is appropriate for ages 16 and up. Next slide, please. On the other end of the spectrum, Sodas is a boys' love story. This is a kind of high school slice of life story that originated as a Thai novel and was adapted into a Thai live action drama, which is available for streaming on Netflix. It was very popular. So a lot of fans were super excited when we announced that we were publishing the manga. And the premise here is that in this particular high school, like the case of many high schools, upperclassmen frequently haze their underclassmen. And in this case, the first year Kong Pab kind of teases his upperclassman who keeps picking on him, kind of trying to make it seem like, oh, you keep picking on me because you got a thing for me. So it's kind of a butting heads kind of teen romance. Should be a lot of fun. I'm super excited for this one. This is also coming out in a couple weeks on the 21st and is appropriate for ages 16 and up. Next slide, please. Call the Name of the Night is a kind of dark mystery fantasy series wherein Mira, a young woman, has a kind of strange affliction that causes her to call forth the darkness whenever she's in distress. She lives with her physician, Ray, who's desperately trying to kind of find a way to curb this strange ailment. And one day, Ray's friend comes and kind of gains an interest in Mira and changes her life a little bit, and thus the fantasy adventure begins. In recent years, there has been an increase in isekai stories, which are fantasies that take place when somebody's been reincarnated into a new world. This is very different from that. This is kind of a more traditional fantasy series, something that I think sounds a lot like the kind of thing I was reading when I was a teenager. So I'm pretty excited actually about this one and kind of a return to more traditional fantasy. This one is out in March 31st, and is appropriate for ages 13 and up. Next slide, please. Sunbeams in the Sky. This is another young teenage appropriate title. This is a slice of life high school rom-com. Twin sisters Himari and Mio decide one day to switch places because Himari has to stay home from school due to an unfortunate accident, and Mio takes her place. We have found that these kind of cute slice of life romances are really increasing in popularity, specifically with some of our light novel titles, bottom tier character Tomozaki, and The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten are a couple that come to mind, both of which have anime adaptations. So we definitely are seeing an increase in interest in these more traditional high school romances. This also comes out March 21st and is appropriate for ages 13 and up. Next slide, please. What's Wrong with Secretary Kim? This is an addition to our Korean comics collection. We are really excited about this. In this office romance, Secretary Miso Kim has decided to leave her job because she would like to get married. And her boss is not happy about this. She's a great secretary. He wants her to stay. And so he's decided that the only way to do that is to propose. So this is a fun, again, office romance comedy that is a very popular comic on Tappytoon with over 3 million subscribers. This is the first time this will be in print in English. It will be full color. Again, we're super duper excited about this. We've been increasing our Korean comics steadily and seeing a lot of interest. And this definitely had huge feedback when we announced it on social media. This has been adapted into a live action drama, which is available to stream on Netflix and Hulu, which definitely helped kind of get people excited about it. This is coming out April 18th and is appropriate for ages 13 and up. But again, since it's an office romance, I could see it appealing more to kind of older teens and folks more like in their 20s. Next slide, please. And speaking of Korean titles, I just wanted to bring up, in case you hadn't heard, we have recently launched Eyes Press, which is an imprint dedicated solely to Korean comics. These are full color comics that are in print in English for the first time. Next slide, please. These are, so we had 6 books, 6 series start so far. We have Villains Are Destined to Die, The Remarried Empress, and Tomb Raider King. These are, again, all very popular online and on various webcomic reading apps. They have had a lot of success and a lot of interest thus far, all appropriate for ages 13 and up, all in full color. Next slide, please. And these are the second group of 3 we had come out: The World After the Fall, My Gently Raised Beast, and The Boxer. And once again, these are all doing really well for us. We foresee a lot more interest in Korean content with the rise in interest of K-pop and Korean dramas. Fans of these webcomics are really eager to get their hands on more Korean content and to see their favorites in print. Next slide, please. That is all for me for today. Thank you so much. And please feel free to reach out to me, morgana.santilli@yenpress.com, if you have any questions. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Morgana. We'll now hear from Chloe Ramos. Chloe is the book market and library sales manager at Image Comics, where they provide resources to librarians and educators looking to utilize comics in their institutions, not only as items to be acquired, but also as keys to facilitate increased patron engagement. The floor is yours, Chloe.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Again, my name is Chloe Ramos. I'm the book market and library sales manager here at Image Comics. And today I'll be presenting titles from our March through May catalogs in all genres and for all age groups. And I'll also remember to turn my camera on. First up is our March releases. Our first title is Do a Powerbomb, Volume 1 from Daniel Warren Johnson. Johnson is best known for his books Extremity and Murder Falcon, and his newest series continues his successful streak of combining kinetic powerhouse, heart-pumping action with an awe-inspiring and heart-wrenching drama. Our hero, Lona Steelrose, was born to be a pro wrestler. It's in her blood. Her mother, Ewa Steelrose, was the best there ever was. But Ewa's death in the ring from a move gone wrong has cast a long shadow, and no one in the industry wants to touch her daughter with a 10-foot pole. Even her own family has been forbidden from training her, that is, until a wrestling-obsessed necromancer offers her a deal she can't refuse. Compete in the most dangerous tournament of all time for a chance to bring her mother back. In this energetic and emotionally complex story, the hero's journey, pro wrestling, coming-of-age struggles, and the supernatural team up to bring you the best tag team match you'll see this year. The title is rated T+ for ages 16 and up and is perfect for fans of La Mano del Destino and Ringside. Moving on, keep your hands and arms inside the attraction at all times while you're on Joshua Williamson and Andre Bresson's thrilling new horror title, Dark Ride Volume 1. One of the nation's most popular theme parks in this universe is Devil's Land, or at least it used to be popular. 5 decades in, and the park is starting to show a little bit of its age, but fear not, this is a family affair, and its founder has 2 children appropriately named Samhain and Halloween to carry on his legacy. Or at least that should be the case, but reclusive old Arthur is not one for innovation, and neither are the park execs when Samhain proposes big changes to expand the brand. That rejection, coupled with a request to build a new ride, will lead the younger Dante to uncover some dark secrets about the park, his family, and a history of grisly deaths and disappearances in the scariest place on Earth. The title is rated T+ for readers 17 and up and is perfect for fans of Lovecraft Country and House of Slaughter. Moving on to our April releases, we have Kaya from award-winning celebrated artist Wes Craig. This is a sci-fi fantasy epic like no other. Kaya is a young girl just trying to keep her younger brother safe in a world full of danger. Journeying towards what they hope is safe harbor, they'll encounter monsters, mutants, and a mystery that could overthrow the all-powerful empire that destroyed their home. Thankfully, Kaya has a magical arm and an indomitable spirit to help them along, so as much as the world can throw at them, these siblings can take care of each other, as long as secrets don't end up tearing them apart. This book is rated T, it's for readers 13 and up, and is perfect for fans of The Neverending Story and The Dark Crystal. Moving on to a for sure adult title, we have The Dark Heart of Horror and Supernatural in a Town Called Terror from Steve Niles and Simon Kudransky. Henry West is kidnapped in front of his wife, Julie, and taken to a realm of monsters. With no way of proving a crime has taken place, Julie must find out what has happened to her husband with no evidence or clues to go on. But while she searches blindly for her missing spouse, Henry is all too aware of why he has been taken and where he now finds himself. Henry is from a town called Terror, a supernatural realm that is hard to find and even harder to escape from. He managed to get out once and start a new, normal life, but he's been brought back to find his missing mother, and to do that, he will have to become a monster in a world full of them. This title is rated M for readers 18 and up, as I'm sure you can guess from looking at our preview slides. It is perfect for fans of Twin Peaks: The Return and the collected works of Stephen King. Our next title comes to us from the all-star creative team, Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman. In Vanish Volume 1, the Wizarding world collides with the realms of superheroes to bring audiences a brutal tale of madness and revenge. Protagonist Oliver Harrison is not living the good life. He has everything he could ever want. He married the love of his life, he owns a beautiful home in the suburbs, and is currently using basically every substance known to man to quell the darkness in his head. Oliver wasn't always a broken man. Once he was a child soldier, a child wizard, in a war of the realms, a war he, the chosen one, brought to an end. And every day since that victory, Oliver has fallen deeper into despair. Now, a chance encounter has reopened his festering old wounds, and he finds himself driven to wreak vengeance on old enemies who escaped justice the first time around. The series asks if, at the end of the road, there is nothing but ruin. The title is rated M for readers 18 and up and is perfect for fans of Venom and Batman. Moving back to the real world, we have The Deadliest Bouquet from the creative team of Erica Schultz, Carola Borelli, and Gab Contreras. This limited series is perfect for crime and mystery readers looking for intense intrigue and family drama. The Hawthorne sisters are not what you would call close. They've long been estranged, the better to avoid killing each other, frankly. Now, their mother, a former hard-edged Nazi hunter who trained her daughters in the art of espionage, has been found murdered, and the sisters must reunite to solve the crime as long as they can avoid killing each other in the process. The book is for readers 18 and up, rated M, and is perfect for fans of The Kitchen and Simon Says. Moving back to younger reader titles from award-winning creators Sean Kelly McKeever and Alexander Tefenki comes Outpost Zero, the complete collection. This deluxe edition contains all 14 issues of the spacefaring young adult adventure story. Readers will enter the Outpost Zero, the smallest small-town community this side of the entire universe. It's a place built on hope, but it's no place for dreams. When Alea and her friends' world is rocked by their companion Steve's sudden suicide, they're driven to search for reasons why. And in doing so, they uncover mysteries that threaten to upend their world forever. Can they solve them while tragedies pile up around the outpost, which is now buried under a layer of ice and snow as a devastating storm batters the dome they depend on to live? This book is rated YA for readers 14 and up and is perfect for fans of Descender and Stand By Me. Our next title is Starhenge Book 1, The Dragon and the Boar, from fan favorite creator Liam Sharp. This psychedelic reimagining of Arthurian legend is perfect for mythology lovers and readers who appreciate experimental, virtuoso, artistic, and storytelling talent. In a future world with high fantasy magic and epic sci-fi technology, the legendary Merlin discovered that time-traveling machines are stealing the world's magic, and he must travel to the 5th century Britain to stop them. This deluxe hardcover edition blends different character perspectives across past, present, and future to deliver readers a mind-blowing tapestry of a story expertly weaved by Sharp. The title is rated M for readers 18 and up and is perfect for fans of the Sandman universe and the Green Knight. Next up, we have Stringer from Patrick Kindlon and Paul Tucker. Sports fans, readers riding the nostalgia wave, and crime and mystery fans will be on the edge of their seat for this original graphic novel thriller. We'll follow a down-and-out racket stringer whose other career as a small-time drug dealer has taken a bit of a left turn, a bit of a really big left turn. It is the beginning of the 80s. Cocaine is everywhere, and it's been easy money to take a little trip with some for the right price. But what happens when you find yourself carrying $500,000 worth in a gym bag across Europe? Well, you end up on the radar of every deadly dealer across an entire continent. Oops. This title is rated M for readers 18 and up and is perfect for fans of White Lotus and Criminal. Last up are our May releases. From author and illustrator David Messina comes 3 Keys, an urban fantasy tale of destiny, dark gods, and big cats. Our protagonist is your average comic shop employee. Next slide, please. If your average comic shop employee had a talking tiger for a roommate and was one of 3 descendants able to wield the keys to killing terrifying elder gods bent on annihilating the universe. Can she and her other relatives save the world, or will they destroy each other first? And if that happens, who will man the register at the comic shop? This title is rated M for readers 18 and up and is perfect for fans of Richard Kadri's Sandman Slim series and BPRD. Moving on, we have 10,000 Black Feathers from the Eisner Award-winning best-selling creative team of Jeff Lemire, Andrea Sorrentino, Dave Stewart, and Steve Wands. 10,000 Black Feathers marks the second foray into this ambitious storytelling universe of the Bone Orchard mythos. In this newest tale of terror, 2 young friends embark on a creative journey, aiming to write great fantasy tales together, tales that can touch readers across the globe. It's a noble ambition with terrible consequences. The 2 friends have unlocked a great story, but authors seldom outlive their works. This title is rated M for readers 18 and up and is perfect for fans of Die and the Dark Tower series. Our penultimate title is Chroma Volume 1 by critically acclaimed author and artist Lorenzo De Felici. This gorgeously illustrated and thoughtfully told first chapter introduces readers to Chroma, a prisoner in a city of prisoners living a life of gray days and black nights, locked in a tower, which itself is in the center of a walled city. Outside those walls, a world of color and a world of danger. Chroma believes she is the seed of destruction that will end all mankind, but when she meets an orphan named Zet, she begins a harrowing journey of self-discovery that may in fact lead to humanity's salvation. This beautiful fable about the perils of sacrificing knowledge for safety is as enthralling as it is prescient. The title is rated M for readers 18 and up, but we believe it has tremendous crossover teen appeal, especially for fans of his Dark Materials and L. Frank Baum's Oz series. Lastly, from popular web cartoonist Michelle Fuss, we have Ava's Demon Book 1 Reborn. This hugely successful multimedia webcomic with over 33 million viewers on Webtoon has, since its inception, become one of the highest performing graphic novel webcomic Kickstarter campaigns of all time. Now your library can house a soft cover edition featuring exclusive cover art. The first volume introduces us to Ava, a young girl whose life has not been easy. She's haunted by an entity named Rathia, and their relationship is fraught. When it looks like everything is about to come to an unceremonious end, Ava gets a chance at a new life by taking a deal with the devil and making a dangerous pact. Now, Ava must aid her hitchhiking alien queen in a quest for revenge against the most powerful entity in the universe, Titan. This title is rated young adult for readers 14 and up and is perfect for fans of Lore Olympus and Teen Titans. Thanks again, everybody, for your time. To request PDFs for any of the titles highlighted today, please email me at the address provided in the slide. For Skybound and Skybound Comet titles, you can email Morgan Perry, who's also listed here. And remember, you can also contact us directly for any support you may need. We're always eager to work with you, offering pre-made or specifically requested bespoke materials for book clubs, reading guides, and programming assistance. We also provide donations on request for library Comic-Cons. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.
Thank you so much, Chloe. Finally, we'll hear from Ashley Kronsberg. Ashley is the marketing manager for Diamond Book Distributors and the editor of Diamond Bookshelf magazine. She's been with Diamond for over 6 years and oversees all lifecycle marketing for Diamond Book Market client publishers. Along with creating and executing marketing plans for key titles, Ashley curates, edits, and publishes Diamond Bookshelf magazine, a triannual magazine providing resources to librarians and educators about comics and graphic novels. Close us out, Ashley.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Thanks for attending today's webinar. We have a lot of great titles coming out this season, but first I have some housekeeping items on the next slide. I'm sure most of you are, but if you are not, please make sure you're following Diamond Bookshelf, our library and educator outreach arm that provides comprehensive information on all things graphic novel and manga across publishers. How do we do that? Diamond Bookshelf provides lesson plans, interviews, reviews, digital review copies, core lists, and a triannual magazine to help you stay up to date on best-selling and most anticipated titles. You can scan any of the QR codes to sign up for our newsletter and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Next slide. You'll find QR codes on all of our slides. Be sure to scan them to view our catalog or read a copy of the book presented. Now, I am so excited to talk to you all about the books we have coming out, so let's get to it with the next slide. The Nightcrawlers is a vibrant, action-packed middle grade tale following a group of friends who hunt fiends for hire. But when an investigation goes wrong, the Nightcrawlers come face to face with a former member out for revenge. This title is coming from a blaze in March. On the next slide, you can see some internals. This title is accessible for readers 8 and up, and it is perfect for fans of Goosebump and Disney. On the next slide, we have Ultra Laser. This is a shonen-inspired and environmentally conscious middle grade book. In Ultra Laser, a planet named Topi has known peace for a long time, but danger lurks as a group of buzzers attack the planet for their natural resources. Now, 2 protectors must work together to save their world. On the next slide, you can see the rich, beautiful art. Ultra Laser is perfect for fans of Princess Mononoke and Pokemon. It will be available from Fair Square Comics this March. On the next slide, we have another great graphic novel perfect for manga fans. Shepherdess Warriors won the 2022 Angoulême Prize for Best Youth Title for ages 8 to 12. It is the odyssey of a young heroine on her journey to find her missing parents. There is currently an animated series in the works for this story, and internals can be seen on the next slide. Shepherdess Warriors is a middle grade title coming from a blaze this July. On the next slide, we have our last middle grade book for this presentation, The Darkness We Brought Back. This title follows a misfit group of students who walk through a door to another dimension. When they return, they have powers and they must now work together to save the world from the monster that followed them. On the next slide, you can see some interior pages. The Darkness We Brought Back is coming from Seismic Press this May. And on the next slide, we have The Monkey King. This is a faithful retelling of the legendary Sun Wukong, the infamous Chinese trickster god. This is the North American debut for creator Chico, a beloved artist in China. On the next slide, you can see some of their beautiful interior art. The Monkey King, The Complete Odyssey, is being published by Magnetic Press and is coming this April. On the next slide, we have I Escaped a Chinese Internment Camp. This is a Pulitzer Prize-winning webcomic coming to print for the first time. The story follows the real-life experiences of Rat, a mother of 3 living in China who was arrested for being Muslim. Internals can be seen on the next slide. This book sheds light on a fraction of the human atrocities happening across the world. It is suitable for readers 13 and up, and it is coming in April from publisher New Friday. On the next slide, we have Blackula, Return of the King. This is the debut title of new publisher Zombie Love Studios, a publishing house pioneered by beloved creator Rodney Barnes. This series takes the famous icon and brings him to Los Angeles, where he is on the hunt for Count Dracula. You can see internals on the next slide. Blackula, Return of the King is for readers 16 and up, and it is available now. On the next slide, we have one of my favorite titles, A Boy Named Rose, coming from Fair Square Comics. This book is a queer and heartwarming coming-of-age story for young adult readers, created by and beautifully drawn by Gail Graniller. A Boy Named Rose follows Rose, a boy who wants to be a dancer like all the little girls he grew up with. You can see internals on the next page. Taking place in the 1920s Paris, this is a socially important story. A Boy Named Rose will release this summer. And on the next slide, we have another book coming from Fair Square Comics. Noir is the New Black, Watson and Holmes. This takes the iconic duo and gives them a refreshing new take. You can see Eternals on the next slide. This must-have title for fans of Sherlock Holmes is for readers 16 and up. And on the next slide, we have one of our most anticipated titles of the year. The Color of Always is a queer love anthology coming from a Wave Blue World who is doing a lot for the queer community in the graphic novel anthology space. Featuring art from top creators in the industry, this collection features personal stories, testimonies, and more that celebrate feeling good about who you are. Internals can be seen on the next page. The Color of Always is for young adult readers, and it will be available this June. Next up, we have Strangers in Paradise, Volume 1. Some of you may already be familiar with Terry Moore, but this is Abstract Studios' debut into the traditional book market. Strangers in Paradise is a multi-award-winning title with a cult following that tells the story of three unlikely friends who are bound together by their pasts. You can see some internals on the next slide. The entire Strangers in Paradise story will be published in 4 volumes, with the first releasing this June. Next, we have The Amazing Camel Toe. Coming from one of our new publishers, Black Panel Press, The Amazing Camel Toe is an autobiographical story following the artist Constance as she goes through her daily ups and downs, including hanging with her friends, fighting with her boyfriend, menstrual cramps, and more. You can see internals on the next page. The Amazing Camel Toe is for readers 16 and up, and it will be available this May. On the next slide, we have Dear Body coming from Fair Square Comics. Dear Body features 12 stories of female and non-binary women across Europe as they discuss their relationship with their body. Internals can be seen on the next page. This book takes an important and stunning look into female body positivity, and it is for readers 16 and up. It will be available this March. Next up, we have The Prophet from Graphic Mundi. One of the best known and most translated works in literature is coming to the graphic novel format. This version illustrates the story of an exile preparing to return to his home and sharing his thoughts on the human condition. You can see internals on the next slide. This book is a faithful retelling of the original and is for readers 16 and up. It will be available this June. Next, we have Street Fighter Origins, Sagat. Known as one of the most popular characters in the Street Fighter game series, this title reveals the secrets of this fighter's dark past. Next, we have a new manhwa series from Ablaze. Get Schooled takes place in a world where the education system has gotten so bad that teachers are no longer able to control their students. To combat this, a new Education Rights Protection Bureau has been installed, and one of its ministers is sent to the worst schools to restore order. This is for readers 16 and up, and it will be available this July. Next, but not least, we have Elden Ring, the official artwork book, Volume 1. This is part of a 2-volume Elden Ring official art book series containing a plethora of art from the game's Lands Between. These stunning oversized hardcovers will showcase every step of the popular game's creation, from opening series, developmental art, characters, and more. This is coming from Udon Entertainment this July. Next. Thank you so much for attending today. If you have any questions or would like to read any of the books from the list, please feel free to email me. And don't forget to follow us to stay up to date on all of these titles and more.
Thank you so much, Ashley, and a big thank you to all of today's wonderful presenters. Tomorrow, all attendees will receive an email containing links to today's slide presentation, title list, certificate of completion, and video recording. For more about Booklist webinars, be sure to visit booklistonline.com/webinars, where you can view archives of past webinars and register for upcoming ones like those you see here. Have you heard? Our new book browsing guide offering reading recommendations to patrons of all ages is now available in print. Go to bit.ly/booklistreader in print to find out how you can order print copies for distribution at your library. Booklist subscribers can share issues digitally as part of their subscription. Visit our website for more details and to see examples of how libraries are sharing Booklist Reader with their patrons. What books did you fall in love with this year? Which stories excited you so much that you couldn't wait to recommend them to your friends? Vote in our inaugural Booklist blog Reader's Choice Awards to celebrate your favorite book cover, protagonist, villain, couple, and plot twist. Scan this QR code or head to our website for more details. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. One more huge thank you to our panelists and to our sponsors, Fantagraphics, Yen Press, Image Comics, and Diamond Book Distributors. This concludes today's webinar. See you next time.